from the past 2 days, we have been discussing about various cybersecurity threats, right? Till now, we know how it is performed, what all security measures have been taken to stop those threats. However, if there is a threat, if a threat happens, even if there are measures of security devices and as well analysts who are constantly monitoring the logs in order to mitigate the threats, even if that's the case, there are adversaries in the sense attackers who are skilled enough and more technically capable and are always ahead of their game, and they try to find vulnerabilities and try to exploit, and attack is done. Now what? After an attack is done, there should be certain uh, like what to say, certain actions need to be taken, from starting from what the attacker did onto their network. How did he enter into the organization through network? I mean, how did he enter into the organization? What actions were performed by him, as well as what were the actions performed by him, and did he cause us any damage, or was there any data theft from his side? So these are the questions being answered when performing digital forensics or computer forensics. But the main thing what we are going to focus in digital forensics is, just like in the criminal forensics, as in the general forensics, where if a murder happens, a murderer will generally leave evidences, clues. No matter how clever the murderer or the attacker is, there will always be clues left behind. That is the motto of digital forensics, where we are mainly focusing on evidences left behind by the attacker when he has performed an attack on the network onto a system. So what we are going to focus today on, generally I have mentioned here. So what is one of the interesting topic? Computer forensics. Why do we use that? What is digital evidence? Types of forensics, phases of investigation, like what steps are followed when the investigation is being taken place, and tools and more. So now, what is forensics, right? When it comes to digital forensics, now just like
Hello.
any, yeah, hello.
Mister, are you sharing your slide or you're just presenting without slides?
I am presenting my slide.
No, you are not presenting. Can you present?
Am I sharing the screen now?
No,
No,
Manish.
sir. Not yet come. Yeah, now it is starting.
Okay, fine. I didn't show much of the slides. You don't have to worry. However, thanks for letting us know. So, is this
Yeah,
visible
now
now?
we are able to see your slides.
Good. So, this is the introduction and the agenda, what I have mentioned. So, now I was in computer forensics topic, right? Are you able to hear me? Is this fine?
Yes.
Okay. So, now what exactly is computer forensics, right? Just like any other attack in a real world happens, just like in digital world, if an attack happens, there will be traces left behind by the actions done by the attacker. For any action, there will be a log in the sense, for any event, a log will be stored in the particular system or in the network. All these are evidences for us. So evidences which resides on computers, network components, are all we are going to mainly focus on in order to analyze how the attacker performed his action and how he got into the action, so that we can present these evidences in an organized manner via reports to court if we want to provide justice by providing necessary punishment to the accused. So what is digital evidence? So now, for data, for whatever the information which is being exchanged from one source to another destination, from one node to another node, there will always be a log. For that, data which is stored on a device, data which is being transmitted, all these are for an forensic investigator, these are a treat for him, so as to look at the clues. That exactly is a digital evidence. Now, artifacts. Actually, artifacts is where, just like any other, for example, when a murderer killed a victim through a knife, so using knife, then what happens? There will be traces of blood on the knife, right? Just like that, the artifact in that scenario is the blood on the knife. Just like that, in digital network and digital world, what happens is, when an attacker uses a malware to attack or exploit the system, operating system will have its functionalities such a way that whatever process are being run, whatever the process was run at some particular time, it will log into its database, either for its own in order to not to give the artifacts for the forensic investigator, but so that whenever an user uses the computer via operating system, it will log certain information, so that whenever he logs in again, he doesn't have to the process which had happened doesn't have to repeat all over again. For example, when an user visits a website, when he is visiting that website first time, what happens is, all the DNS queries, all the DNS requests which have happens, and all these requests from within resolver, all this will be happening within a split second. The next time when he tries to access that particular website, that website will be stored in cache memory of the browser. So just like that, whenever a malware is run on that, certain information is stored onto the hard disk or RAM, which is the artifact for us. When it comes to browsers, we will have many artifacts, such as, you might have seen all this information. These are artifacts for a forensic investigator, such as temporary files, bookmarks, history, cache. These are some of the artifacts when it comes to browser related activities. Just like that, whenever a Windows operating system undergoes certain events, such as user logs in, user logs out, user entered a wrong password, all these logs will be stored in Event Weaver. Event Weaver is a default application which comes along with Windows operating system, and EVTX, those events are stored in EVTX logs format. And other artifacts include downloads through the browser. What are the files downloaded, and all that history will be stored right in the browsers. And email attachment is also considered as an artifact for a forensic investigator. How? In the sense, now an email client will be installed in the device. For example, take Outlook. There are browser versions as well, like say Gmail. There are browser versions. When it comes to browser versions, we can't be able to get the data how much we get when compared to a client, when client is installed. For example, say you have Zoho Mail. or you have Outlook client installed. You might be sending and receiving mails. All these mails which you see through that will be stored on your hard disk, so that you might have experienced this. Even though you don't have internet connection, you will be able to see the see the emails which were received when there was previously it was connected to internet, right? Are you getting the point? So it has downloaded. So all email attachments will be in the MSG format. When so these can be used as an what to say, artifacts. So artifacts are used to analyze them and categorize them as a digital evidence. All these are not evidences. All these are artifacts which, when analyzed, we will categorize it as an evidence. There might be many websites which are visited, but not all those are evidences. Only certain website. For example, the malware tried to access. What to say? Tried to connect to a website called some hackme.com. Okay, so it tried to connect to hackme.com. So that is an evidence for us, not the whole website traffic, right? Just like that, bash history, when it comes to Linux, when I meant bash history, I mean that whatever the commands were executed on Linux will be stored, so that you might have experienced both in Windows as well as Linux, right? So when you have entered a previous command, then again you want to repeat the command which you had entered previously. When you type up arrow, what happens? It will go through the cycles of commands what you had entered previously. How does that happen? It means that it has stored the data somewhere. So whatever we perform an action in an operating system, all the data is stored somewhere for at least for some time. It could be until the system is switched off, or it might be for some days, even if it's being turned off and on. It depends on the artifact we are talking about. So MAC timestamps for any file which has, if you have downloaded a file, what happens? There is a metadata called MAC. MAC, not Apple device MAC. This is modified, accessed, created. Okay, this is the MAC timestamp. So whenever you download a file, what happens is the creation time will be the time that file came into your system. It's stored into your hard disk. That is the time of the creation. Accessed is the time when you, even though you have downloaded but not accessed, access time won't be there. But when you, after some days or as soon as you download, if you click the access time, when you clicked the file and executed it, that is the time which gets recorded in that particular file metadata. And modified, as the name suggests itself, if you modify the contents of the file, then it is modified. Modified timestamps will be added to that metadata of the file. So all this information, interesting information, which we skip usually when we are using in the normal day-to-day activities, are a treat for a forensic investigator. And okay, recycle bin as well. So you will be deleting certain files. There are chances that you might permanently delete by entering shift delete, or you can just enter delete and it will be stored in the recycle bin. Even the files which are in the recycle bin can be restored, right? So even the file you deleted are in the hard disk. Even the files which you deleted permanently will not be deleted for particular amount of time. That feature also we are going to utilize for analysis. Registry is a very good utility in order for configuring the operating system. You are not going to manually configure that, manually use the registry, but however, any application you download, any application you are using, or operating system in the background will be constantly modifying certain values in the registry. Registry is a set of configuration settings in an organized manner. We will be going through all this in the upcoming slides as well as in the lab. So you are clear with this, right? Next we'll proceed. So why computer forensics? As I mentioned before, there are many threats going on, and you might have seen in the news that larger number of attacks are being targeted onto organizations as well as government sectors after lockdown, that is during pandemic time. So many are free, many companies have gone digital. Now is the right time to whatever the, I mean, I'm talking the perspective of attacker. Now is the right time for the attacker to explore himself. That is one thing. Make money. Another one thing. Cause trouble. That is one more thing. So these are all the situations which has occurred from a bad guy perspective. Now, when it comes to forensic guys, forensic person's perspective, since these attacks are being happening, forensic investigator must have thorough knowledge on systems which are being utilized more, operating systems which are in the trend, so that it can be hacked anytime. So that in order to investigate, he should also be ahead of his current skill set and improve him. So digital crimes are being increased. Digital crimes include unauthorized access. So some attacker might be brute force into the account and get the username and password. Then he forcefully enters into the again access to the account, and then he performs necessary actions which he intended. That is called unauthorized access. Modification of computer system, when he has gained access, right, he can do any configuration change and settings, so that either he can configure such a way that even though he has he has got out of your network, the settings which are configured will be trying to communicate with the attacker even if he is not attempting. What that is called persistence. Certain registry values, if modified, what happens is, whenever you restart your operating system, so if it is configured in such a way, whenever you restart your operating system, certain applications will run automatically, right? Whenever you run, and certain antiviruses will automatically run, as well as what process explorer will run. If you had set it up as soon as you restart the system, a browser should open. All these are configuration settings, right? That can be modified by the attacker, and that will lead to troublesome activities. So that is modification of offenses against CIA of computer data and system. Can anyone tell what is CIA? I'm expecting reply at least. Anybody? What is CIA?
Confidentiality, integrity,
Integrity, yeah, authenticity.
accountability.
Yeah, okay, good. Nobody said crime investigation agency, right? Good. So that is the reason why I mentioned just CIA. I could have mentioned the complete form. Okay. I think it's going to start from first. No, good. So offenses against CIF. Yeah, you are exactly right. Now this statement summarizes everything what an attack is usually is, right? So attack regarding confidentiality, that is only intended person, other than intended person, some other person can utilize the data. And integrity, a person could attacker could modify the contents of a file and post such a way that that is what the actual data was before it was received. These are the integrity issues. Availability, certain services are always on. For example, say you have a web service. Say for example, take government sector's website, usually IRCTC, where you book train railway tickets, right? It should be always available for customers or the users. Now availability issue comes when attacker performs DOS attack, means he performs attacks in such a way that it will be down for a particular amount of time or permanent. If this occurs, what happens? Users won't be able to access the site, they won't be able to book, and many other problems will arise, business loss as well. Then maintenance issue, hiring people in order to see what the issue, troubleshooting. And in the meantime, what all we can see, what are the services they might provide, all this will be affected. So these are the some common digital crimes which are happening. Along with that, internal offenses. Say suppose an employee is not happy with the current manager in an organization. Now what he does, he is going to copy all the confidential information and take it home probably, and do whatever he needs with the data. That shouldn't happen in an organization. In order to stop that, there are something called data loss prevention technology being used in every system, so that whenever a user is copying, it will detect it. But however, there are ways still to go through that access and bypass that DLP and perform all those activities. It's called data exfiltration. So data exfiltration might be happening. Those are one of the internal attacks. Another might be people might be spying inside. They might be seeing for actual information, and that information will be provided to the opponent organization, which will benefit them, and this will provide loss. These are all the internal cyber crimes, internal digital cyber crimes, right? So now, what is the objective of forensics? Since we know the attacks which are happening and are on the rise, what we do is we gather the evidence based on analyzing the artifacts. Based on analyzing the artifacts, we are going to see certain clues which will point to the attacker, right? So that is called tracking. And then when we find out by some means, we'll be going to see how they are going to find. You don't have to worry about. By some way, they are going to find out who the attacker is, and then they are going to prosecute. They are going to take him to the court, and then a forensic investigator will go take him to the court, but however, the people who are people who are on that job, they are going to take. And then to assess the impact and technique of the attacker, forensic investigators are mainly used for this one of the main reason we are in need. That is, what were the impacts done by the attacker, and what technique he actually used, what type of attack he executed, and what impact it happened onto our network or the system. And if there were any loss of data, try to recover the data as much as possible. As I said, any deleted file can be recovered if certain conditions are met. Not all time, only if certain conditions are met. So you can use Recuva software, which is free. Try deleting a file in a pen drive, and then connect that pen drive, and then use Recuva software to recover. See whether you can recover those files again. That sometimes work. So by any means, if you had lost any data, don't use that pen drive or the hard disk for certain amount of time. Not certain amount of time. Until you get the data back, don't use it, because it will override the new data onto the old data. So that is how actually it works. So types of forensics. Based on what asset you are going to perform, based on what device you are going to perform forensics on, Based on that, it is classified. So here, let us start with hard disk, not hard disk, but a storage device. Okay, a storage device may be ranging from hard disk, optical drive, pen drive. What else might be there? Memory card. Okay, these are the storage device forensics. Fine. And operating system forensics, all flavors of operating systems such as Mac, Linux, Windows, Android. Android is also a Linux variant, however. Android, Symbian was there previously. On all operating systems, if forensic is performed, then that is the one of the type of forensics. Now, as we said, mobile forensics is on the rise now, since many are becoming mobile in the sense data is being user is using devices in the mobile manner. You won't be staying in a particular place and you will be roaming around, and you might use laptop or you might use mobile. All this improvement in technology is causing improvement in mobile technology. Now there are trends of where attacks are being performed using mobile itself. Using Android, there are many applications you can install, like Kali, NetHunter, Wi-Fi assessment, all these tools which you can install, and then it needs a root access if it's on Android device. So you can perform all these. Well, however, if it's even though reconnaissance, if you try to scan a particular website of a government sector, then that is also illegal. So even that also, if he has performed, then we can seize the mobile and then we can perform analysis on that by getting the data. That is when it comes to mobile forensics. Malware forensics. This is a very interesting and booming technology, booming skill in cybersecurity. Since malwares are on the rise, recently many ransomwares are being used to attack organizations. Okay, so many malwares are being used to attack into organization, and it's on wild. So it will also self-propagate, and then actions intended by the attacker will be performed automatically. So it's just like some virus, yeah, exactly. This can be taken as a good example. That is coronavirus. So now it is actually causing a lot of problem. Just imagine if coronavirus had not come, so many problems would have not occurred, and so many facilities would not have occurred, in both terms, just like that. Still, people are trying to understand how corona works, right? To create vaccine. Just like that, a virus in a computer system also needs to be understood by the analyzer of that malware, so that he can see what action it can perform, what exploit what vulnerability it is going to exploit, as well as what IP it is going to connect to when it has performed all action. It needs to communicate to the attacker, right? So what IP it is going to communicate, what are the encryption technique it is going to use, what might be the key it is going to generate to encrypt that. All this analysis using tools such as Oli Debug, PE Studio. These are the tools which can be used to crack open the malware and analyze via assembly language. So all the technology needed to analyze that should be known by the forensic investigator. And email analysis, and this is one more, as I said previously, 90% of the cyber attacks will have started from phishing email. 90% is lot, right? So if 90% of the cyber attacks are stopped, then many will have peace of mind for security analysts, as well as CIOs, Chief Information Security Officer, CISOs, right? They will have a peace of mind. They can sleep peacefully in the night. So they are trying actually to stop most of the attacks, that is phishing email. So if one knows suppose an attack has happened via malware was distributed through mail. Now, if one knows how to analyze the email which had come from attacker to destination, that is organization, see where all it passed through before reaching us, what were the contents of the mail, such as whether there was any URL which user clicked and then it got downloaded, whether there was a PDF file or an executable file which got downloaded when you click it, or what some other scenarios can be, URL, attachment, or some other file, or some other concept, like a Word file could have a VB script enabled and it could perform in the background certain actions. All these could be analyzed, right? So when a mail comes into an organization, there should be security measures to analyze each and every mail. That is done automatically by certain security devices called email gateway. But even that won't stop all threats. So that is the reason why analysts are there and forensic investigation is needed to see where we have went wrong that the mail is received, even though it had malicious files. So database forensics, to see who all accessed that particular database, what queries were performed on that database, what modifications were done, were there any deletion, modification, updation, weaving of the data in the database. Even weaving will be considered if an unauthorized person tries to weave the database. Actually, SQL will have logs for that as well, as we mentioned. All this will be clues for us to see. So usually what, for any organization, when an attack has happened, main target is information. Where will be that information stored? In the database. So attackers will target database. So this is one of the important forensic skill. If you understand how database works, what are the queries, Oracle, SQL, if you know this technology, then that will be very good. And network forensics, this is where traffic analysis, understanding of traffic is needed. In the previous session in the morning, that is at 10 o'clock, you saw Wireshark happening, right? When traffic is being moved on, you were seeing in the Wireshark the packets which were being like listed. If one can understand what data a packet contains, what protocol it was using, how it actually moves from one source to another destination, if these are all the skills he knows, forensics, the data which he gets from that analysis can be used to identify an evidence to track down the attacker. So some packet, using Wireshark, we can capture PCAP file. I mean, packets can be captured in the PCAP file. That we will be seeing in the screenshot. However, you already came to know previously itself. So this is memory forensics. Nowadays, what is happening is the malwares are not being stored onto the hard disk. You won't be able to see malwares on the hard disk. Previously, when you had downloaded a file, if that had a malware, that would be at least stored in some path in an hard disk. But here what is happening in new technology is that there are creations of fileless malware, where no particular file is being stored on the hard disk. Using systems inbuilt tools and programs, attacker is utilizing that programs to perform is needed action, so that what happens is even the antivirus cannot detect it, right? Even the antivirus is not able to detect because there are no files present on that. But there is a technology again improved, that is behavior based detection. Since file based detections are not happening, that is signature based, there are two types of detections. One is signature based, and another is heuristic based. Heuristic in the sense behavior based. Heuristic based is where if file is not present on the hard disk, that process will be performing certain actions in the memory level. Either it might be encrypting a file, or it will be, what to say, using PowerShell. It will be trying to see what all connections are available for this particular system, what all file shares they have. So all this all this action of the malware will be identified by using heuristic based antivirus. So what that does is it will be performing memory forensic. Antivirus will be constantly checking for memory related actions, so that whenever a suspicious command or action is taken place, it will block and stop. However, just like any other security device or technology, even that has its own limitation. That's where we forensic analysts come. If that has bypassed antivirus and then performed detection, then we have to grab the data from the memory. It can be from the RAM. It will be from the RAM. Actually, when it comes to memory forensics, it will be from the RAM. So it is always recommended whenever you experience some security related issues on the system or the device, it is highly recommended not to restart the device, because if you restart, certain actions will be made by that particular malware. If you restart that, either it won't boot again because it would have corrupted it, or necessary information which will be stored in the RAM will RAM will erase off. And cloud forensics, since we are all becoming online based activities, or online activities are being increased, what happens? All the infrastructure which was on premise, in the sense organizations has had their own building, had their own infrastructure, systems, network, router, switches, firewalls, softwares, all they had on the premise. They were physically available in the building. Now, since it is all being remote, and it should be able to access from anywhere, VPNs are created. However, there won't be people to manage that. That is the reason why cloud is booming. Cloud technologies such as Amazon Web Service, AWS, that is AWS, GCP, Google Cloud Platform, and other than that, one more big Azure. Azure also is one of the Google platform provider. All these are being utilized to onboard the infrastructure which were on premise to cloud. What happens now? All the data is being moved onto the cloud. Cloud, in the sense, it is an data center managed by Amazon, Google, and Microsoft as of now, top ones. So you are all moving the data onto the data center managed by someone else. You can't have fully trust on. If it is a well-known company, we might trust them that they will be security implemented. However, we are not sure of it. We would have been sure if we were able to see the infrastructure from our own eyes, but now we won't be able to see. This is the reason why forensics is needed, because since everything is online, technology is moving towards cloud, attacks are also moving towards cloud. Anyone who is skilled enough, understands the technology behind cloud platforms, he will be able to get into that, just like any other technology. Any technology, even in the future, that will be again cracked in the next few more years. So cloud is also one such technology. So these types of forensics, a forensic investigator doesn't have to know all this forensic. He can be either as an expertise in either malware investigation or operating system, or multiples of both. It all depends on his experience and as well as his exposure. Understood? Any doubts you can ask, but however I will move. At the end you can ask also. If anyone gets doubt, please ask me. Since we usually Since I usually have a lot of experience on this, I should be able to explain you either anything related to career regarding this, or technology, or what are the skills needed, all this either here now or at the end of the session. So what are the phases of investigation process? So investigation process is divided into three categories, that is pre-investigation process, investigation process, and then post. What are the things done before investigation and what are the things done after investigation? In between there is investigation. So these are the phases. So before performing investigation, there should be a team which should be having necessary skills, who can handle variety of technology, as we have seen previously in the previous slide. Variety of technology, they should be well versed. Since one person cannot know all, that is the reason why team is formed. And lab should be set up. Lab in the sense, both physical lab should be set up to have a office experience. Apart from that, necessary devices which are, for example, for data acquisition, there is some device which is used to grab the data from attacked machine to the analyzer machine without corrupting the data. So that is one such device is there. All those components are needed. So lab has to be set up, and workstation, devices on which they are going to analyze the artifacts is the workstation. Tools which they are going to use in order to analyze, say for example, starting from autopsy is one tool, volatility, as well as dump it, where they are going to, how they are going to retrieve the information from the attacked machine, right? All this should be implemented or checked and well formed. During investigation, how to get the data from the attacked machine, what tool to be used, what type of operating system is that, what tool will work on that operating system, how to get the data without corrupting it, and what format I have to get it. Acquisitions using tools such as Dumpit, WinPMem are some of the tools where you can get the complete image, not photo, not that image. It's called snapshot. When you are taking the information from the attacked machine using, for example, say Dumpit software, what was the state of that operating system at that time of getting the data, everything will be captured, both including process list, as well as network connections. What was the network connection during the time, what were the files present, every artifacts will be collected. It will be around, say for example, it will range from 10 GB to 50 GB as well. That amount of data will be retrieved using that. And while taking the data, what necessary actions to be taken, on what format it should be taken is also checked there. Identification, after grabbing the data, certain analysis will be performed to where actually I have to see, for example, say there was an attack performed, encryption was performed by ransomware. So now the data has been encrypted, or your system was slow, your mouse was moving automatically, or you received a malware alert where it tried to communicate to an external malicious IP. So all these are indications, right? Based on that indication, you are going to mainly focus on certain artifacts reason, because there are many artifacts, you can't go through everyone. However, you can get the complete data, but in order to perform the analysis in a short period of time, it will be focused on certain artifact areas. That identification comes in identification. And when you grab all the necessary artifacts, you are going to evaluate those artifacts and come to a conclusion based on artifacts you obtain, and you will categorize it as an evidence. Now, since you have gotten all this evidence, you need to present yourself, and you need to present yourself and others in an organizable, readable format. So you will have used many tools to get the data. All that, if you had randomly run that data and grab the data and evidence, then that should be organized in a manner which will be in a readable format. Any person who can understand. That comes under post investigation, where all the data which you have been grabbed that will be documented, saying how did the attacker come in, what actions he performed. All this you would have got information while analyzing. What actions he performed, whether there were any files which were present or created by that, whether there were any files deleted. All this process from start to the end, what are the next step to mitigate that, all will be documented and reported to the higher authority or the higher lead. Fine. Let me drink a water. Okay. So these are the phases of investigation process we have covered generally. So acquisition is getting the data, identification is other, as well as documentation report is just like any other standard operating procedure where you perform certain actions. This is the main thing you should be focused on, even though if it's a boring concept. For a very technical savvy guy who is into all this identification, hacking, those kinds of, even they should be able to document and report. Otherwise, what task they have done on that particular system, you won't be able to present it in a good way. Even though you had done a good job on identifying it, you should be able to present that in an understandable manner for the person whom you are showing to. Challenges faced by forensic investigation for as of now. So the increase in PCs and extensive use of internet access. As we know, many online activities are being increasing. Everyone is even from children to old people nowadays, they are having online presence. Few decades back, above, like below 10 years, nobody had online presence. Below 10 years of age, before 10 years, nobody has online presence. Now everyone is utilizing internet, either because of learning process or because of social media. Anything might be the reason. So increase in internet traffic, what this causes for the forensic investigator is that a large number of attacks, and the challenges faced by now is least number of forensic investigators are present now, just like cyber security hackers who are in need of defending pen test. In order to do pen test, there are scarcity of people. In order to defend, there are scarcity of people, because this is a new domain and people are in need. In few decades, there will be people fully, just like in software development, how there are people now, just like that in cyber security also there will be people, and again that will lose value. But for now, nobody knows that there is technology like this, and the requirements are there more now. So lack of forensic personals who are not skilled enough to handle these issues, and increased number of devices will cause forensic investigator to get the data from many of the system, analyze lot of information. All this will be a hectic task, and easy availability of hacking tools, right? We had seen in our previous sessions that Kali Linux and many hacking tools are open source. Anyone can easily download. Nowadays, there are advertisements being provided for less than 10 years. Starting from still they are not in the high school, but advertisements are provided for their children to learn hacking, and that's both good and bad, right? So they will start. They will not have what to say, judgment capability to decide what is wrong, and because of their curiosity they are going to try all types of attack whatever they see on the YouTube, both on to the government sectors and their home itself. There might be, you might have you can download without knowing what file that is, what would the risk that pose. You can download if they pose as, suppose they had hosted a file in a website saying this is a beautiful song you need to hear, children will going to download, attack is going to happen, or they can upload certain files without knowing. With this scenario of easily available hacking tools, hackers such as scriptkiddies who don't have any technical knowledge, what they see on the web page and videos, they are going to what to say, they are going to follow those steps just like that, and they will perform attacks. That is the challenge faced by digital forensic investigators, where many attacks are being happening. Lack of physical evidence makes prosecution difficult. This means that as of now, in law, regulatories are not updated for not that much concern is put into till now not much of a concern is put into attacks regarding cybersecurity, but now it is actually what to say, law enforcers are actually looking into these kinds of attacks as well, because it is seriously posing a threat. But if you can't able to provide physical evidence, just if you provide digital evidence, such as you have seen this file, someone has sent this message, so there are some cases that this can be false, anyone could have modified this person could be falsely accusing that person. These kinds of situations might they think, and they won't be able to prosecute the accuser. So that is the reason one challenge being faced by digital forensic investigator. So even though they get their evidence, digital evidence, law enforcers are not putting complete trust on that evidence, because anyone could modify the data, right? Even logs which are created when malware has executed, that log also we can modify. Attackers are even modifying the log or clearing the logs. That is also one of their technique. That is one thing. Large amount of storage space, that is in terms of TB. Now just imagine, few years before we had internet speed of 512 kbps. It was a high speed for us. Now it is reaching more than 200 mbps for a normal household people of containing 4 people. 100 mbps is the minimum they are taking, because large number of devices are being connected to internet. Of course we need a higher data transfer capability bandwidth, which results in higher download and exchange of data, and this will result in higher information stored on the device, which will cause higher more terabytes of information, which will lead to not able to focus by the forensic investigator, as well as he has to go through many information in order to find clues. Getting the point? Understanding, everyone? Respond. I am speaking for a long time, so I have not heard any sound as of now. Respond.
Yes.
Okay. Now, handling information. Okay, any challenge others faced apart from anything listed here? What are the challenges faced? As we said, lack of personnel. Anyone who is interested in cyber security forensics, please, this is the right time. You can jump in, make good money, if that is one, and learn more. Since not much of a competition is there. Previously 2 years before, there was not much competition, one could have easily gotten in, but now there are more competition. If before competition is too fierce, if one can go in, then that is also a good opportunity. Now handling information. So there are two types of information. That is two types of data which can be stored in the memory. That is volatile information, non-volatile. Volatile is where it is volatile is called to what word we can put. It is not that stable. Volatile means not stable. These kinds of volatile information, such as say for example memory which is stored in the registers of CPU, if it is restarted, then it is going to go off, it is going to erase. And which are stored in the RAM, that is what processor, for example you have opened some application, if you restart, that application is going to close off, right? So if you restart, that application will not be running. So when you have opened an application, the memories associated with that application will be stored in the RAM until it is closed. So because of that reason, since it will be constantly deleting and overwriting, deleting, this is the reason why it is called volatile information. And active processes, when you open Chrome, there will be a process in task manager called chrome.exe. There will be many such processes which will be running in the background, services.exe, WinHost, many other SVC host. These are the processes which will be constantly in use because those are necessary. So if you restart that information will go off. That is the reason why it's called volatile information. Lockdown users. So for that particular time, who are the users locked down? If he restarts it, that connection will be lost, and that also data will be lost. So this is volatile info. Open files, as it says, if you are typing in Notepad some important file, if it restarts, then the data which was in the Notepad will be gone, right? So till you have not saved, whatever the data you are typing will be stored in the RAM, not in the hard disk. When you click save, that is when it is going to save in the hard disk. Now, why I am saying this volatile and non-volatile information is, forensic investigation mainly focuses on memory, that is data. Memory is data. Data is everything for analysts. These are the two variations of data which are found in any system. That is the reason why we have to know what actions to be performed when an attack has happened. As I said in the previous examples, if a certain attack is being performed and if you restart, the volatile information will be lost. And non-volatile information, such as in the registry configurations, will be done, and control panel settings will be done. All these settings will be stored in hard disk, because that is the reason why if you had set some wallpaper on the desktop, if you restart it again, then it won't go back to the default one. It will be the one you have set. So those configuration settings, that is the example which I am giving, that configuration settings will be stored in the hard disk. System files such as Notepad.exe will be there. Exe, I mean the file, real application, not the application you have opened, but files such as Notepad.exe will be in system32 folder. SVC host will be there. Apart from that, some good applications, command.exe, and installed applications will have certain configuration files in program files, right? All that will be system, it will be stored in the hard disk. If we even restart the system, there will be command.exe, right? Or all these applications will be there, because if you restart, it should not be uninstalled. That is the reason why system files are on hard disk. Registry settings, we will know what are these registry settings. Bear with that. Hibernate file, you might have seen in the shutdown, when you are clicking shutdown, you will see hibernate option as well. There, if you click hibernate, what is the state of this? I mean, what all applications you have opened right now? If you click hibernate, all the information which what is the current state with open application, all that information will be stored onto the hard disk in an hibernate file, and then it will shut down. When you restart it, your OS will grab that hibernate file and open all the files which were there with the information it had saved. So suppose you are writing some code in Notepad. So now you will click power button and then hibernate. Then it is going to save the state with the contents of Notepad, and then it is going to it will be in the switch off state. Now if you open and restart again, then again all the contents which you are writing will be as the way it was previously. So now hibernate. So this feature of operating system, just to have a seamless just to provide seamless experience to the user, this is being utilized. This feature will be utilized by forensic investigator to see what was the state, what contents were there when user had hibernated. This will be stored in the hard disk. So browser artifacts, as I said, bookmarks, history, download history, temporary files will be there even though if it's restarted, because for some duration it will be there. Even for some days it might stay on your local hard disk. So these are the non-volatile. These are the two information data we are going to mainly focus on to analyze. So here, this is one of the tool called FTK Imager. This is one of the well-known tool to grab the data. When I mentioned in the acquisition step of investigation phase, when I mentioned acquisition, this is one tool to acquire the image. All the, see for example here, physical drive, there is some hard disk. In that hard disk, they have grabbed all the partition data, which is like around 500 GB over here, 99 MB partition, and this is not. Yeah, you can see here 200 GB and 500 GB of information is all captured. So what was the size of it? What data it had? If why actually that is done? Because suppose you are a forensic analyst, investigator. There was a case which a person came saying that I feel that this laptop is hacked. Please look into this. But he needs that laptop for his work purpose. What happens now? You can't go on to him every day or whenever you require to open his system, analyze it, right? That is the reason why acquisition is done, so that you can grab the whole data, so that you can work offline in your free time, as well as in your comfort in the lab with the necessary tools. Okay, that is the reason why it is captured. It will range in from, as I said, in GBs. That is good for analysis. You can see here all the directory structures are also visible if you click. This is not being run on the system, but this is a captured information, and you will be able to see all the master file table contents as well. This is what I'm able to see here. I'm explaining. Every data will be visible. Even the Xcode will be visible, and other informations as needed. So this is not free version. This is a paid version. So this won't be able to see. The attacking tools are free, but investigation tools are not free. So that's one. What to say? Is it a good thing? Who knows? So dependency walker. Suppose you got a malware in your system and you found it, or because you have downloaded it and you clicked it, you experienced some problem, or you are a forensic investigator, you found out what particular malware, where exactly that malware is. So now using dependency walker, you are going to take that as an input and then see, breaking down its functionality, what all dependency files it is going to depend on. So for a dynamic link library, DLL stands for, and other search processes, what are the functionalities of a malware you can understand, or you can say what are the functionality of that particular process you can know by using this tool called dependency walker. So here you are going to get the whole memory capture. Here you are going to utilize this tool for understanding how a particular malware works. Apart from dependency walker, there is tool called OliDebug, which is a very awesome free tool. You can input any file to that and it will result in an assembly language. So just like how in what some IC configurations, there is a usage of assembly language like add, sub, move. These are the jump. These are the commands which are available for assembly language. So that if you understand, it's a much lower level of language where it is difficult to understand. However, there is a possibility of understanding as well, because humans are the ones who created it. So one, if has a knowledge of that, he can go into malware analysis field, and there is a much more rewarding career. It is also one of the rewarding careers. So Wireshark, this is one of the favorite tools because you can actually see traffic units, that is packet. Everyone remembers this, right? See how good actually this is. You will be able to see what IP is connecting to what IP, using what protocol, what is the length of the packet, and details of that packet. And here if you see all the protocol layer, I mean TCP IP layer, OSI layers data will also be visible. That is actually a good what to say, utility which provides this function. So now why forensic investigators has this toolkit in their tool set? Because there can be cases where malware will be communicating with a malicious IP, or that is called CNC, I mean command and control, who will be controlling this malware response and malware's request and response. He will be communicating using CNC. Attacker will be using CNC. That is usually an IP or a domain. So now, for example, take this 98. This one is the CNC. So there may be cases where you found out a malware. Now you are analyzing that malware. There are two types of analyzing the malware. That is static analyzing and dynamic analysis. Static analysis is without running that malware, you will be able to see you will be able to get some information about malware, such as what type of file that is, what are the resources it has, such as what image icon it has, what are the DLLs it is going to get. In dynamic link library, I mean dependency library occur, we actually perform static analysis here. We actually didn't run this, but it was unpacked using dependency walker. So that's kind of analysis can be done. We will get into it if we have enough time, but what we are mainly focusing on is the dynamic analysis. Dynamic analysis is where you are going to create an environment in a lab such that it won't be connected to the internet, but you will be simulating the internet connection. You will be simulating the response from the server. All will be simulating, but it will be in an enclosed network. Any traffic will not be going out. You will be taking the risk of running that malware. Now you are going to actually run the software, I mean malware, and you will have necessary tools installed onto that operating system which you have run to see what all changes are being happening on the operating system when that particular malware is run, so that after running that, you will see before running what was the state of the operating system, and after running what is the state of the operating system. If you compare it, the difference you see is the functions done by malware. This concept is utilized, and to see network traffic generated by that particular malware, Wireshark is used. So now you understand, right, why Wireshark is used by forensic investigator, because you can dynamically see what traffic is generating and capture the traffic, and locally when you are in your lab in your own comforts, you can analyze what data it is being transferring. All this you can see. Now artifacts, as I said, I have provided few screenshots just to make you clear. Because in labs we might not be able to get all the queries run, because there should be actually what to say certain configurations done previous hand, and it should be connected to internet. All this we can't simulate in the lab. So how much we can, we will be providing with this screenshot. Logged-on users, just a normal Windows command. If you enter, you are going to see what are the users active for that particular time. This investigator, forensic investigator, is going to run and see the details. When that particular user Tom was logged in, user test, when did he logged in, right? So this is that artifact. And PS lockdown application is used to get more info, and where and which domain that user resides, and what is the username, and when was he logged on. This is for getting information from the server. This is locally. So this is one of the artifacts which there are many artifacts. We are going to give few examples here just to you find a better understanding. So prefetch file, this is one more. This facility was developed by Microsoft because it wanted to provide a seamless experience for user, but this facility is used by forensic investigator to grab the data. This prefetch file we are going to do lab. We shall explain that what that actually is. Just know that this is one of the artifacts where we are going to identify what yeah, let it be a curiosity for you. So now network sessions. If we perform netstat command inbuilt function in inbuilt command, you will be able to see what are the connections being established or being waited. All the connection states here, only established are mentioned. There are many states of connection: time, wait, closed, established, and many more. All the state, see here which IP from which port is connecting to which IP on which port. HTTPS is 143. I mean, what 443? Yeah, 443. So like that, we are going to get the information. So which IP is connecting to which IP means here since we have run on this system, this is the IP of that system actually. So we will always be seeing the same IP, but there are different ports. So since many applications are being utilized, so this 52, based on experience, this is Microsoft IP, and Amazon as well. So many other such examples can be seen. This is one network sessions artifact where you can identify whether there is any malicious connection being done. This is the registry I mentioned about. So many people might have seen this, but this is one good resource to get the data and analyze. Very good resource. If you just came to know the power of this configuration, you will be very much interested in learning about computers. Actually, low level configurations can also be performed. Just like, for example, if I right click here, the options which are available here can be changed. Say for example, I can modify the contents of this such that if I right click here one such option can be added. Say like, go to my favorite folder, and I would have mentioned values such that my favorite folder would be like watching movies. Say for example, go to that particular path in D drive, in personal and movies. That can be added, and if I right click, go to my this one, it will directly go. So that level of configuration, it's just an example. Much more complex configurations can also be done. This is utilized, as I said here, as it is highlighted, run once complete. This is utilized by malware or attacker to modify this key such that whenever the system is restarted, the application mentioned in that value here will be run automatically. That is persistence. These are the registry hives. These are called registry hives. 5 registry hives. As this mentions itself, configurations related to machine are stored here, related to current user, so who has logged in. So current classes root, all the deeper level of configuration, and list of users and their configuration settings, and current config who actually has logged in, their current login configurations also are available. So now, since we discussed about forensic, artifacts we getting from different devices, we can also get logs. Logs are again information where it has captured certain information, like those could be an evidence for us. Suppose there was a traffic which was going in between this from this system to outside this router, that is internet. The traffic will be flown through here, right? So this firewall will log the information of what system tried to communicate to what IP at what particular time, what packet was that, all that information will be stored. Forensic analyst will be able to access that log and analyze. Firewalls, IDS, intelligent detection system, say for example, Snort is one such tool that it will block the attacks, detect the attacks. IDS is detecting the attack. If IPS is there, it will block. So now it will detect, we can see that forensic investigator can see the log of that at when he has found that system having malware. He can see whether there was any detections detected by it, so that he can correlate that to his evidence or his analysis. And here system OS forensics can be done here based on hard disk forensics can be done here. Network components logging level will be enabled, seeing what port was accessed on what particular time, which system accessed it. These all information can be done. Configuration settings can be seen. All these are the different loggings we are going to analyze to identify the threat. So advantages and disadvantages. So I came across most of the disadvantages already, and advantages. Forensic will enable us to actually focus on the target, attacker, and we will be able to identify, and then we will be able to provide justice to the victim. That is the one of the advantage of doing forensic investigation, tracking down criminals. So protect organization's money and valuable time. By performing forensic investigation, you will be able to see what were the impact and what actions what technique he used, and based on that you will be recommending them to not happen that in the future. These are the advantages and disadvantages. You can read it. And disadvantages is there are many tools to delete all the logging, that is called anti-forensics. I mentioned in the last point here. Anti-forensic tools are there to erase all the logging as well. That is one scenario where a forensic investigator will be able to analyze. New technologies are on the rise constantly. Forensic investigators should also be learning new technology and how it works. Yeah, you can see that's it. And thank you. Any questions? We have 5 minutes.
Any questions from the audience?
Yes, ma'am. I have one question.
Yeah,
Okay. You can ask me.
you can unmute and you can ask.
Volatile forensics.
Yeah, tell me. What did I say?
Shall we have forensics on volatile medium?
Yeah, of course.
Like that?
Yeah, what happens before you switch off the system, you can grab the data using dump it. Okay. So what actually the state was that in that particular time, all the data you will be grabbing. So even applications which are running, you will be able to see offline when you go in your a lab or in your comfort. Even there is something called volatility, which is a tool I will be showing in the lab, where I will be analyzing RAM related memory. So we will be able to identify malware and detect it. Okay. Okay. Next.
Yeah, there is another question. Name some tools for cyber forensics.
Okay. there are phases of forensic steps, right? That is acquisition, in identification, evaluation, and reporting. For all those phases, there are many tools individually, but many tools perform all that as well. Like for example, say FTK imager, NCase, as well as autopsy, volatility, sleuth kit, Swift workstation. Swift workstation is one operating system provided by Ubuntu by Sans. It is a combination of all forensics tools. Most of the tools are just like Kali Linux, how it is for pen testing. SIFT workstation is for forensics. But however, Kali Linux also has forensics tools, but for some part. Next question.
What is the specific tool used for the cloud environment?
Used for cloud environment specifically, actually what happens is, even though if it is a cloud, there will be actual hardware and right, actual hardware and software. So based on that, we can gain what to say, what is that, in order to seize devices, for example, in order to seize someone's house, we have to get some permission. What is it, the word I'm not getting, from police will come before seizing. They will have to have some, can anyone?
What? FIR? Huh?
Be able to
No, not FIR. Because this, suppose if police went to a person and says, I want to arrest, warrant. Yeah, warrant.
Yeah, warrant. Yeah.
warrant, arrest warrant.
Yeah, seize warrant can be, search warrant can be provided to the cloud platform provider, and then we can be able to communicate with their IIT team and then get the data. But however, cloud forensics are also there, but only if you have client installed in your operating system. That is, if you have Google Drive application, not website, Google Drive application installed.
Okay.
Is there any PPT notes on cybersecurity?
No, it's okay. We will give link to YouTube because we will upload these videos to YouTube. So we will provide the links, but not any PDF notes or PPTs. We won't provide. So I'll answer to that.
Okay, yeah, that's why I was stating simply. Then, any other questions? Few good questions were asked. Next.
Okay, then we'll close this session.
Yes.
And next session is of demo session. I mean lab session on cyber forensics. So you will get the link shortly, and we will meet again at 2:30. Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
I am in Chennai. Currently, here heavy rain is there. Okay, unable to. The power is shut down here.
Okay.
I am unable to continue the class. Unable to continue the next class, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. No problem.
That's why yesterday also I have not attended the class. The afternoon class.
It's okay. It's okay. We will consider that reason.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay, Mahesh sir. Let us meet
Okay.
again at
Yeah, sure.
2:30. Thank you.
Thank you as well.